Oh, hi, we're live. Hello, everyone. We can see there's already a lot of people joining us. So, hello, hello. Maybe you can tell us where you are joining from. I'm from Belgium right now, originally from Argentina. Where are you girls talking to us from today?
I'm in Romania.
Uh huh. And Kelsey?
I'm phoning in from Glasgow.
Okay. Wow. Okay. It's gonna be a very international conversation, and unfortunately, Victoria, who was the fourth panelist, cannot join us because she had some family issues. So that's bad because she was like a fourth voice, which was great. But I think the three of us are gonna still have a great panel. So welcome everyone. First of all, we will do a short introduction of ourselves. I'm Macarena. I have been working as a freelance translator for the past 10 years. Well, and that has been my life so far. Now I'm exploring other paths also because I've realized that diversifying is fun and great. But yeah, I'm basically an English into Spanish translator specializing in the health and well-being fields, which I really love, not only from a professional perspective but also a personal perspective. And Leda is a English to Romanian translator, and she works in the charity and public sector. Would you like to add anything about yourself?
Not much. Yeah, I'm an English Romanian translator. I've been translating for about 9 years after I finished my master's. Yeah, I specialize in charity and public sector translation, mostly doing social care, like mental health and well-being,
Mhm.
parenting, things that are fun to learn about.
And you also translate children's book?
Yeah, I've only translated a couple, but I do hope to translate more at some point because they were quite fun, honestly.
Nice, nice feels. Well, and Kelsey, our third panelist, she's a translation account manager, and she's also a social media consultant and co-creator of Team Translator. So very diversified. Also, how do you schedule your weeks? Like 50 and 50, or do you work more as an account manager, more as a social media consultant?
To be honest, a lot of my clients come to me for both.
Mm-hmm.
So at any given day, I am going in and out of project and account management and creating social content and all of that stuff. And obviously looking after Team Translator as well whenever I can fit it in.
It's a great group, and thank you for creating it. It's great to have a community, and well, that's one of the things I will talk about for our mental health, but that's for a little bit later. First of all, my first question to the panel and to everyone who's joining us today is, why do you think mental health is such an important topic while working from home in front of a computer? What do you think?
I'll go first.
Yeah, sure.
I think I mean, we have all heard the scary news reports of too much screen time and what it can do to your mental health, your physical health. Sitting down at a computer all day, not going outside all that much, especially if you're remote working from home and stuff. So I feel like it's just particularly relevant to the freelance and remote worker community. Um, because we don't have colleagues. So we don't even have those. We don't have colleagues in the traditional sense. We don't have coworkers, right? So not being able to even have the social aspect of mental and physical health fulfilled for a lot of people as like standard built into their day. It's something that we have to work for. I think can really take its toll. But I know for me personally, I'm as much as I don't look like it online, I'm very much an introvert. So I can survive off of limited social contact. But for me, it's mostly the physical aspect, and I realized that I need to get out more and walk around and stretch my legs and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's there's so many different factors that go into it, but I think it just particularly hits the freelance and remote worker community extra hard.
Yeah, totally. I translate a lot about workplace well-being, which is very common in companies. But when you work as a freelance, you don't have that. You don't have a team. You don't have departments. You don't have a workplace apart from your house normally. So yeah, you have to like build your own workplace well-being program, for yourself, by yourself. And so it can be challenging because we are not taught to how to do that. So we have to learn from scratch. What do you think, Leda? Why is this such an important topic nowadays for us translators, freelancers?
Well, I think in addition to everything you two have said, it's also the fact that most of us are working from home because we're running our own business, and that comes with a lot of stress and anxiety and a lot of uncertainty that maybe we're not equipped to handle when we actually start our business, and we have to take the time to learn how to do that well so that we can still manage our mental health and well keep our well-being. Otherwise we're going to burn out or just, yeah, I think that's why it's important.
For sure. Thank you. And here we have some comments by Jamila. She says mental health while working from home is such an important thing because you cannot focus with a weak brain, especially while working as a translator. If you need to think, you have to be in a good mental health. And yes, for sure,
Yeah,
it's key to
definitely.
take care of our mind because it's one of our main working tools. So it's an extra challenge to take care of our minds. And Pablo adds that even as a staff translator, not as a freelance translator, I have ADHD, so I have accommodations. One of them is being able to walk around my office building to refocus. That's great, Pablo. Wow, it's great that your workplace allows you to do that. It's very important to recognize that we have different needs and that our environment affects us differently, and that we need to interact with it differently. So it's great. I think that's one of the best things about talking of this topic openly is that we can start realizing that, okay, it's not just a personal thing, an individual thing. I don't have to deal with this myself. I can talk about it, I can share about it, and other people are going through the same things. And we can
Yeah.
actually do something about it as a group, as a community, as a team, and it makes a huge difference. And Luciana adds there are so many things that we as freelancers need to learn as one person business that is overwhelming sometimes. Yes, yes, we need to learn so much. Content creation, social media managing, marketing, finances. It's a lot. And okay, anything else you would like to add, girls, regarding these comments or topic?
No, I would just kind of go back to what Pablo was saying. Like I think having those accommodations, we have to. It's great that he has those accommodations in an office environment, and then as freelancers, we kind of also have to be our own boss and manage our time and micromanage our time as if bosses would, while also being the employee. So it's kind of like we have to give ourselves those accommodations as well, if we feel like we need it.
Yeah, and I think we also have to try things out and realize what those accommodations might be for us, because yeah, it's a lot of time they're not necessarily intuitive.
Yes, yeah, but it's so important to first recognize it and then ask for what we need. Um, that's why I wanted to organize this panel, and I'm super grateful that you girls joined. That everyone is joining and commenting because I think the more we talk about it, the more light we can have on the topic, and then the best solutions we can find, and the best we can feel as a community. And so before starting with the questions we had, I wanted to share something about well-being. Let me go to it. So this is called the well-being wheel. You're gonna see it in a couple of seconds. And it's basically the idea of thinking of mental health not as an isolated topic, but as a part of well-being as a whole, as a system that's comprised of different aspects that are interrelated and have an impact on each other. So when we think of well-being as a systemic idea, mental health is one of the aspects of well being. And of course, it affects all of the other aspects and is affected by all of the other aspects. So I think it's kind of interesting to start the conversation with this idea. This is a wheel that's a coaching exercise that you can Google. It's called the Life Wheel, and then it's very fun and very interesting to do. It helps you like have an idea of how your life is going in the present moment and how you feel regarding your life in the present moment and what you can do in all of these aspects to feel a little bit better. And then, as you can see, well, one of the aspects is the mental and emotional one. But then you also have your physical health, your personal growth, your finances, your career, your sexo affective and social aspect, the recreation and fun aspect, which is so important. And then the environment aspect, which would be like our surroundings, our workplace, where we live, how much we interact with nature, things like that. You know, everything that surrounds us. Um, so I wanted to post this idea that mental health is not an isolated topic, but it's part of this system, and it affects all of the other aspects and is affected by them. And then one other thing that I would like to say before going to the questions is that mental health is not only systemic, but also dynamic. So it's a topic that is not static. It's not like, oh, okay, I discovered how to have a good mental health. Now I'm going to have mental health forever, you know? It's just, it comes and goes, ups and downs, and that's normal and natural. Like you can have a super good day, and then the next day you are crying in your bed because something happened or just because, and that's normal, and it's good to know that. I think that, okay, I'm not feeling okay right now, but this too shall pass. It's dynamic, and that's okay. um let's see the comments. Pablo asks, where would spiritual health fall under in this wheel? Well, spirituality, I think it's up to everyone. I mean, up to each person. If it's a part of your personal growth, if it's part of your mental and emotional health, um, everyone lives spirituality their own way. Actually, the original wheel, the life wheel, includes spirituality as one of the aspects. So this is just like a wheel I created, I think, for translators. That's more like specific, but yeah, it's part of one of the aspects in the original wheel. Euge says, thanks for taking into account these aspects. What do you mean, Euge? Like all of the aspects in the wheel or mental health? Okay. Let's move to the first question. And as I said, everyone is welcome to answer, and we are all reading the comments, right, girls? So we can interact also through that. And the first question is what were your biggest challenges regarding mental health while working from home?
Do you want to go first or?
Go on.
I mean, I'm kind of the view of like what weren't my challenges. It's, it's the thing is, when I went freelance, I was very motivated, and I had already actually been working remotely for 3 years prior to going freelance. So it wasn't a big shock when I was stuck at home all day because I'd gotten used to that. But I think the freelance aspect was, it really tapped into my imposter syndrome quite a lot. Um, especially, I went freelance very suddenly. I didn't have much of a plan. I didn't have much of a backup or anything like that. And it kind of had to work. Um, so every decision I made was always second guessed. Every decision, everything I did for my business, I just didn't know, because I'd never run a business before. I didn't know if it was the right direction, or if I was going to be ridiculed for something, or if I was going to, be celebrated for something, or if I was punching above my weight or something like that. All of everything was tied up in a lot of negative self-talk that I had, and that kind of led out into a lot of different aspects of my mental health. So yes, it was the imposter syndrome, but it was also the, am I ever going to make enough money to continue living off of this? Or, am I going to, are people going to like what I have to say and post and stuff? This is my plan A. So it really needs to work. So yeah, I would definitely say that kind of negative self-talk and imposter syndrome has been one of my main challenges. Even, I'm been a freelancer for 2.5 years now. I still struggle with it every day. It still comes up. I actually heard it referred to once really sweetly, because I used to call her like evil Kelsey, or I used to call that kind of voice in the back of my head like mean Kelsey, rude Kelsey. But I actually heard it explained once that it's kind of like your childlike voice, because where do we all get bullied the first time? It's when you're a child, it's when you're in school a lot of times and stuff like that. So that voice is really just trying to protect you and trying to make sure that you're not going to get hurt by anyone. And so once you start to think of it like that, it's a lot easier to be kinder to that voice, and also make sure that you can kind of quiet that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's something you shared in your stories about the imposter syndrome. That's something that I think like 99% of us feel. So yeah, it's I think it's very important to talk about it openly. And I know there are some good books to read about it. I've received some recommendations. I'm not sure if you have like read a book, or how have you learned about the imposter syndrome and how to know more about it and do something healthy about it. Maybe a
Yes.
podcast or something.
Yeah, so I actually, the person who was talking about your sort of inner critic, that voice in your head being a child, that was Kirsty Hulse in one of her talks for the marketing meetup. Which seems like on the surface of it, an unlikely place to hear about, mental health and stuff like that. But actually, the talk was completely transformational to me, and it's one that I recommend to anyone who's struggling with this. So if you go on the marketing meetup and you look up Kirsty Hulse, and give that, pour yourself a nice warm drink and curl up and get ready for some emotional healing, because it's a really, really good watch.
Yeah, I saw that one too, and it was really good. She had a lot of changes in perspective that I found really helpful.
Yeah.
Is it on YouTube, or where can we
Yeah,
find it?
you can find it on most places that have podcasts. It's just the
Okay.
Marketing Meetup podcast, and I think that was one. That one was on imposter syndrome and confidence. Which one was that one?
Yeah, it was on confidence, because I think she's done 2 for the marketing meetup. So if you
Yeah,
look,
and they were both good.
yeah, they're both it. Yes, I will I'll look up the YouTube video, because you can watch it. And I'll share that in the chat. 1 second.
Thank you. And what do you think, Leda? What have been your biggest challenges regarding mental health while working from home?
I think for me, the biggest one has been dealing with uncertainty, which is not something that you're really equipped to do. Especially, I have anxiety, so that's a tough one for me. And it's something that I've really had to learn how to deal with better over the years. I think what I've learned is that the mind is a planner and it tries to plan even for things that it can't plan for. Um, it's great to kind of learn how to how to tell the difference between intrusive thoughts that are something that you have control over and intrusive thoughts that are just worries that you have absolutely no control over. Um, Another thing has been, of course, imposter syndrome, and just like Kelsey said, not knowing whether the decisions you're making are ultimately going to turn out well or not.
Yeah, and I think it's related with uncertainty, which is something people are mentioning here in the comments.
Yeah,
Matthew said, one thing I both love and dread about freelancing is that every day is different and foreseeable. Excitation, but also insecurity. And yeah, I think it leads to a lot of anxiety because we cannot predict what is going to happen next
yeah,
week, next month, next year. We don't know what is going to happen. So the brain is like, please, I want to know. I want to predict and have a stable, prediction about everything. And then we're like, nope, sorry, brain, I cannot give it to you. It's a surprise. And then, yeah, that can be kind of
yeah.
rough. Um, there's another question, another comment here related to that. Mm, there's one about social life from Keith. She says, or he says, I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm single and I live alone. If I have enough food in the house, I can go for days without saying a word to anyone. But that tends to turn me into Golem. So I force myself to go out and interact with actual people in the real world. And yes, I agree. Sometimes we need to force ourselves to go outside, not only to interact with people, but also to see the sky, see a tree, get some sunlight. So for me, that's key. Having discipline, because when you're inside, like you can stay there forever, and there's nothing that's going to take you outside, to take you to a social gathering or to have you walking in the near park. But you have to do it. At least I discovered that I need to do it, and I need to also force myself. Okay, once a day I'm gonna go outside. Once a day I'm gonna have some sun in my face. Once a day I'm going to do my eye exercises to rest my eyes. No one's
I've,
gonna do it for me, so I have to have discipline and do it to take care of myself.
I've outsourced this to my dog. He makes sure that I go outside every day. There's just no getting around it.
Yeah, if you're not going outside, get a dog. You'll
Yeah, basically
you'll
that
learn to
will.
enjoy walking in the rain pretty quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Seriously, that's my mother is always like, oh, I didn't do my walk today because it was rainy or it was too sunny. I can go out in any weather.
And it helps you socialize a little bit, right? Because when you're walking
Yeah,
your
it
dog,
does.
people approach
You end
you.
up talking to people in the park because your dog is playing with their dogs, so you're
But it's
friends now.
but usually the only thing I learn about someone is what their dog's name is and how old their dog. I don't know anything about the person, but I
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
you
fair
sometimes you
enough.
don't even look at the person, you just go
Yeah,
straight to the dog, like, hello.
yeah, I do tend to recognize people by the dogs and not vice versa.
Jamila adds, as a freelance translator, I'm struggling with the pressure, family pressure. I cannot manage my time. This is another important topic, which makes me stressing about what's coming next and a bit insecure about if I can do it in the best way. That's why I kind of feel that I'm in pressure a bit. I hope you could understand what I did just said. Um, I'm not 100% sure. It's about managing time, like doing the best job in the time you have, right? That's a comment. Um, what do you girls get from this comment?
So I think She means like prioritizing tasks, whether it be for work or things in her personal life. Or that's something I struggle with, or something that I've had to learn how to do better since I've gone freelance. So what works for me is to have a rough routine that I'll be able to follow on what you'd call normal days, and then have a lot of flexibility. So one day I might have a deadline, and that will mean I'll have to maybe work more on that day and have less time for, I don't know, exercise or cooking or whatever else, reading books. But on another day, I might go like, hey, I haven't seen my best friends in 3 weeks. Maybe I should schedule something with them. And if I see them at 6 p.m., that means there will be less time for work and less time for other things. So I think it's just about being flexible and prioritizing what needs to be prioritized every day, not necessarily prioritizing the same thing all the time.
Yeah, I think for me, it's about setting really clear boundaries. I am very much someone who, if I have a certain amount of time to do a task, I will take all of that time to do the task. To
Yes.
give myself a little bit of pressure, and if I can say, okay, well, so for example, my husband, he works a very regular 9 to 5, but a very demanding job. So we get evenings and weekends together, and so that time is kind of like that's carved out as time that we get together. And so that limits me. It means that I am working from 9 to 5, and that's it. I'm not going to work extra or anything like that. Because as soon as I tell myself, oh, I'll just do an extra hour after work, I'll wake up a little bit early and start working on this, then it spirals because I am very much a person that can, yeah, I think it's called like Parkinson's law or something like that. Like work expands to fit the time that's allotted to it. So if I don't give myself that boundary, then I'll just kind of, you know, give an inch, I'll take a mile, basically.
Yeah, here I'm summarizing. So some of the challenges that have been mentioned, it's time management, uncertainty, and social life. And I was going to mention similar challenges. For me, social life has been like a huge challenge because at first I was super excited about this idea of working from home and having no boss and having no obligation to go to a workplace. I was like, yeah, I have freedom. I can stay home in my pajamas and I can be free with myself. And then after a while, I was like, oh, okay, I need people. And I'm going to like I managed to solve it in a way that I'm going to leave it for later when we get to the like the most successful strategies. But for now, so one of my biggest challenges has been have been social life, than being indoors with artificial lights so much that has like a horrible impact on me. I love being outside. I love being barefoot in the grass. I love watching the sea or the sky. So for me, like being indoors is like being a caged bird. I don't like it at all. So it's been a challenge. And then yes, related to time management, for me the challenge is setting healthy work limits, and that's something we need to set ourselves. And then so first be able to set healthy work limits, and then be able to communicate healthy work limits. So because sometimes you know your limits, but you are afraid to communicate them to agencies, to clients, and you just say yes to them because you are scared, or you simply don't have the tools to communicate limits in a professional way, in a respectful way. So that's something I needed to learn. First, how much I can do per day that's healthy for me, how to organize my agenda in working blocks, like, I don't know, like a doctor does. Okay, I have this available spot, and then that's it. And then how to communicate it to agencies and clients in a way that's professional and clear and respectful. And I think now I've managed to do that, and no one gets angry. That's something I discovered. They say, okay, yeah, no problem. Like, you can deliver it later, or enjoy your vacations and see you when you're back, and that's it. Like, the feedback is normally positive, so that's great. Okay, let's see the comments. We have a lot of comments. Matthew says, Kelsey, Adrian Proust made the same point about work filling the time in his last video, and then he shared a YouTube video that we can watch later. And yeah, Parkinson's law. So I didn't know about that concept. So it says that you tend to fill the available time you have for a task, no matter how much it is.
Yeah, exactly. Work expands to fill the time that's allotted to it, basically. Yeah. So if you have a deadline that's a week from now, at least in my case, if I have a deadline that's a week from now, then I don't start feeling depending on what it is, but I don't start feeling the pressure until a few days before.
Okay. Um, then Alicia says, Oliver Berkman mentions some of the issues around social life and freelancing in his book 4,000 Weeks. It's one thing having free time, but it's not always that much use unless people you want to see are free at the same time. Yes, exactly. Yes. That's why I normally work from Monday to Friday, like regular
Yeah.
people, because everyone's free on the weekends. So I want to be with everyone, and I manage my schedule like that, very similar to everyone else. And Euge says, what I have seen from my experience and freelance colleagues as well is that you end up being a slave of work in many cases. Your beloved freedom becomes your enemy. What do you think regarding this?
I think I have the opposite problem. So I don't find work filling all of my time. It's probably just because I am such a freak about my mental health that I just have really really strict boundaries around how much time I work, and I have the opposite problem. So like, am I lazy? Am I selfish for just not working as much as everyone else? Uh, like those are my imposter syndrome thoughts, but I found ways of dealing with that, and yeah, I think really what ends up taking first spot in our lives is really what we prioritize.
Yeah.
Wow. So, sorry, in your case, is like the other way around. You
Yeah, I'm
prioritize a
not
lot.
sure what I can do about it.
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing, unless, I mean, it has negative consequences on your life. So you have your limits very clear, and you always
Yeah.
communicate them.
Yeah, I think it's because I had really, really bad anxiety issues like 10 or so years ago. And since then, I've
Mhm.
just really, uh, I've, maintaining my mental health has been really a big priority in my life. And I've arranged everything kind of around that, basically.
Uh-huh.
I think you bring up a really good point though in the feeling guilty for resting kind of
Yeah,
thing. Whereas, it's the same thing for me. Like, I am very protective of my time. Even at the beginning of this year, I have started instituting a day where no one can book me for meetings, just so I can, not be in that headspace, because it really takes me out of whatever task I'm doing. Um, but then that's been really good for protecting my time and mental health and stuff. Um, so yeah, but I'm fiercely protective of my time. But when I do take the time to rest and play some video games or read a book or go to bed early or something like that, my mind is going, yeah, but you could have used that extra time to go and get a little bit ahead on that project or anything else, when I know logically I probably wouldn't have done my best work because I'm tired or because I've been working on it all day already and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, the guilt for
I
resting is a very real feeling.
I have a perspective thing for that one that's worked for me. So what's worked for me is like compounding. So I take the thing that I'm doing and like multiply it by 100 days and think, okay, what would this look like for my mental and physical health if I just kept doing this?
Wow,
So
that's
if I
interesting.
take like a couple of hours off every now and then to like read a book or play a video game or spend some time with my friends, that's obviously good for me when you put it that way. And if I just fill up all of my, let's call it free time or extra time with extra work, that's obviously not going to be good for my mental health. It might make me a little bit more money, but is it really worth it in the end? So that's how I've managed to deal with that voice.
That's an interesting technique, compounding. I like it. And then regarding feeling guilty for resting that you mentioned, Kelsey, I've read this amazing book that I'm sharing now in the comments. It's called How to Calm Your Mind by Chris Bailey. Chris Bailey originally published a lot about productivity and how to be more productive. And then he realized he was burnout. And so he started studying how to calm his mind and then wrote about it because he's an amazing writer. And and he talks about this concept of the mindset of more, where we are always trying to achieve more and more and more, and all of our available time we start thinking like, how, what else can I do, what else can I achieve, what is going to be my next goal. So then we forget to savor what we already achieved, what we are already living, all the good things we already have. So the book is basically about, okay, respecting our goals and respecting that we want more because it's part of our nature, but then consciously and deliberately remembering every day as much as possible that now is already enough, that now I am already safe. Now I am already, I already have food, I already have a roof. Now it's okay. And then
Yeah,
coming back to this enough present moment. And wow, for me that it changed my mind because I'm also very anxious, thinking all the time, okay, what can I do next, what's going to happen next week, always in the future, in the future, in the future. So for me this exercise has been, I don't know, like life changing, I would say. I started applying it, and so now every time I catch myself thinking too much in the future, I come back here and I say, I'm already safe. Now it's already enough. And I am here doing this. And wow, it's amazing.
I,
It's such
I
a
think it
relief.
also I think it also helps to sometimes ask yourself, what am I doing this for? I mean, yes, we love our work. We got into translation because we love languages, and but it's also that we have to remember that okay, it's also our work. We're doing it to earn money so that we can have the time and money to enjoy our personal lives. So we shouldn't actually then feel guilty about actually enjoying our personal lives. We've earned it.
Yep. Yep. Having yeah, remembering our purpose, right? We are working for, not just for working, but for something else. Sometimes that something else is like taking care of people we love, or traveling, or having freedom. And then sometimes we can achieve those things without working so much.
Yeah. I think there are too many people that are leaving those things for after they retire, which I don't understand. You're supposed to enjoy your life now as much as possible because you don't know if that future time when you're finally going to take time to enjoy your life is actually going to come. Better to make the most out of every day now.
And I
Yes.
find there's a lot of like, I really try and stay away from the idea of like resting in order to be more productive because I find
Yeah,
Ah, yes.
odd mindset. I find that, I should just enjoy resting for the sake of the enjoyment of it, or, be engrossed in a video game because I'm really enjoying the story, or, something, it's scratching an inch in my brain or something, I really try and stay away from the idea that like we rest so that we can do more work. That's not the way that
Yeah.
I want to, be living.
Yeah, one of my favorite well-being podcasts likened this to feeling like your phone needs to earn being charged. I mean, no, it's if you're tired, you need to rest. You don't need to earn resting.
Yes, and I guess let's see some of the comments before moving to our most successful strategies. Matthew says, "I have the feeling that with some clients are not just open to communication." And my question is like, okay, what have you tried, or how have you tried communicating your healthy limits to your clients? And I think maybe Kelsey, as an account manager, you can share from your perspective, like what is the best way of receiving a healthy limit from a translator, for example?
So I'm really appreciative when people are just really upfront. I work with translators that say, "Hey, I'm part time. Um, I only work from this time to this time, so this is when you're going to get email responses from me." And that's fine for me as a project manager, as long as I know that ahead of time. Then I can say, "Oh, okay, I know so and so isn't going to answer me until 3 p.m., and I'll wait
Mhm.
until I can get an answer from them before I send it on to someone else." Um, Also being a little bit proactive about things. So putting your hours of availability in your email signature is just like one really simple thing that can be super powerful. Make good use of those out of office messages, because if I send a project out and I get an out of office, I'm like, okay, great. I know what I need to do now. Send it to somebody else, and say, have a great holiday. You know, so I think it doesn't need to be, generally, it doesn't need to be something that is prohibitive, because I find that if that's important for me, if setting that boundary is important to me and taking that time is important to me, any client that doesn't respect that probably isn't the right kind of client for me. So I kind of have to, they might be great in other ways, the projects might be really interesting and stuff like that, and it might be something I'm willing to overlook, but it just depends on what your priorities are. And as much as your clients vet you when you're working with them, you vet your clients, right? You decide to work with those people. You don't have to say yes to anything. So if you're getting that kind of like inkling that maybe they're going to be a pain, or they're not going to respect your boundaries that you clearly set, or something like that, frankly, I'd rather know sooner rather than later. So I might as well set my boundaries now and not waste anyone's time.
Amazing, thank you. So, being upfront, this is what you're going to get from me. That for you, project managers or vendor managers or account managers, knowing it upfront, it's very helpful. And then setting our hours of work in a calendar, or including them in an email signature, also helps. And also using out of office automated messages. So yeah, that's basically what we can do, and it's all good with that. Like, teams keep working when we are not available, when we are sick, when we are on vacations. That's what teams are great for. And I think that's something we need to accept. Like, okay, this company can live without me because there's a team there to work, and they don't depend only on me. But it's hard to realize that. I think that, I don't know. I don't know why we think that, but it's, for me, like, remembering there is a team has been also a great mindset change. Before, I used to think that it all depended on me, until I remembered, like, no, 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 no. This is a team. Like, I can rely on it. And that was also a huge mental relief in my career.
And it's also, it's the project manager's job to deal with people that might not be available. It's our job to manage the project. It's our job to make sure it's placed, and everyone's on it and they have all the resources and stuff like that. So it's part of the job description that if someone says that they can't take it, we know that we've got resources in place to handle that. So it's you know, as long as you, again, as long as you're proactive about communicating that thing. I have some people that they will set an out of office if they're like, it was sunny today, so I've gone out for a long walk. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I hope that you get back to, can you get back to me tomorrow morning first thing or something like that. And I love that because it just gives me, it just gives me a bit of a communication. It's actually really respectful of my time and the work that I'm doing to just have a little bit of a, I've seen, I've seen this, I'll take a look at it in an hour, or, that kind of stuff. So it's actually a much more, respectful way of communicating.
Yeah, I love it. And well, it's here. Matthew adds one of my main agencies has a mostly automatized system. So even though I emailed them and refused tasks, they kept sending offers. And I think this is like it's important to differentiate what is under my control and what is not. So agencies will normally ask you to lower your rates or work when you're not available to work. Like they need you, so they are going to ask you things. But it's our responsibility to set our own limits, know our own limits, and communicate our limits. And then that's what we can do. That's under our control. What clients do, agencies do, other colleagues do, that's out of our control. So I don't know. We can only respect ourselves and then make other people respect the limits too. Okay, no more comments regarding this. So what if we share our most successful strategies? So far we have all shared, even people who are writing in the chat, which is amazing. I love it. Our biggest challenges regarding mental health while working from home, and regarding our most successful strategies. Um, I will start. So my challenges were my social life, being indoors, and setting healthy limits. So for me, I have discovered like three strategies that really worked. One of them was co-working with colleagues. I've shared this in LinkedIn, and wow, for me it was a huge difference when I started like messaging some colleagues from my city, and I was like, hey, I need to work with someone. I don't want to work alone anymore. And they were like, yes, oh my God, I feel the same. I'm so bored at home. Like, I want to share a tea with someone and talk to someone in my breaks. And then we started getting together in our houses. And then the group kept growing and growing. So we found a co working space in our city. And then we started going there regularly, like 2 or 3 times a week to the same co-working space. We like paid for the subscription, like 3 day subscription. And wow, we started getting to know people that had other remote jobs in the same co-working space, and we shared the lunch. And then we did some after offices events, and it was great, like starting the day hugging someone made a huge difference. And then of course networking is amazing when you start talking about your issues, talking about your questions, and then other colleagues and other people from other professions can chip in. Then it's very nutritious. So for me that was like my most successful strategy. Then the second one, I would say it's nature baths. That this is what I was talking about, like forcing myself to going into nature at least once a day or every 2 other days. I take these nature baths, which is a technique where you go into nature and you just uh, let it bath you. And you look into the horizon, you look at the trees, at the sky. And for me, it's very relaxing. And I practice some mindfulness and some breathing exercises. And yeah, it's been great. And then the third successful strategy, it's regarding my limits, my mental limits, and is I say this is enough for now or enough for today. So this is like an affirmation I tell myself sometimes while closing my laptop, like, okay, I have done enough. this is enough for now. I can put a limit to this job for this moment. And then my mind is like, okay, job is done. Now let's move to other activities. And then, okay, when I'm done with the other activities, I'm like, okay, back to work. Maybe that same day or the next day. But saying that sentence has made a huge difference for me. So I shared with you in case you want to try it. Like, okay, I have translated my, I don't know, 2,000 words of the day. Enough for today. Thank you. I love you. See you tomorrow. And then off you go to your other activities. And well, those have been my most successful strategies. I don't know, Leda, you want to share yours?
Sure. So I had a bit of trouble deciding what I'm going to say here, but I went with something that would be really practical and that might come in handy in a pinch. So I thought about talking about how you could manage to focus and be productive even when you're anxious about something, whether that's the project that you're working on or something in your personal life that's completely unrelated. And by anxious, I mean, your body is tense, your heart rate is rapid, your breathing is too fast. You've been there. I can't be the only one. So, what works for me is breathing exercises. You'll find a lot of them online, but I found that the easiest one to remember is making sure that you exhale for longer than you inhale. The other one is exposure to cold. I found this one out by accident because a pipe burst in my neighborhood and I could only take cold showers for a week. And I found that it was incredibly soothing, though it was incredibly unpleasant at the same time. So I kind of looked it up online to see why this was, and apparently it's a great way of activating your parasympathetic nervous system. But you don't need to go all the way to cold showers. You can just splash some cold water on your face, or if it's winter outside, you can just open the window and take in the cold air. And another one that works is intense exercise, like a very short burst of intense exercise. I live in an apartment building, so I just go up to the 10th floor and then bam, I'm super calm by the time I get there. I think that's what runner's high must feel like. I've never ran, so I don't know. But and the other thing that works really well for me is what I call the anxiety song, but it's actually called Weightless by Marconi Union. It's a thing that they composed with sound therapists, and it's actually backed by science. They a recent study found that it was as effective as sedatives at calming people down before surgery. And I'll often listen to this while I'm working on a project that is really stressful for me. My husband thinks it sounds weird, but it works, so I don't care. And the other thing has been learning how to manage intrusive thoughts. And I'm just going to share this analogy that really helped me. I think I read it about a billion years ago, but it's really stuck with me. So when you're dealing with intrusive thoughts, imagine that you're in a restaurant and the intrusive thoughts are like this really this table of really annoying people that are being really loud, and you've got basically two options. You're either going to pay attention to them and let them ruin your evening, or you're going to accept that they're there and being noisy, but try to carry on your conversation and still enjoy your evening. And I found that was the best analogy for my strategy of just not engaging with the fights. And then, depending on what kind of intrusive thoughts they are, so thoughts that I can actually do something about, or thoughts that are just baseless worrying, I'll either table them for later. So, if it's something that I can actually think about and that's worth thinking about, I'll write it down somewhere because I find that writing it down really helps. And then I'll say, okay, so I'll focus on this, on so and so at so and so, and that usually helps. And then I found that also dealing with this at a later time when I'm not looking at it from a place of anxiety, really helps a lot because I've had time to calm down. My subconscious has had a bit of time to think about solutions. So, yeah, tabling them really works well for me. And for the other kinds that are just baseless worrying, I found that naming the emotion works really well for me. So just saying, okay, I'm anxious because X. Apparently, that's also something that works because neuroscience, I won't explain it, but it works. And then I'll go, this is not something that I can really do anything about. I'm going to accept that this emotion exists. And then I kind of visualize finding a little place for it in my mind and I make it really small. So I imagine my mind like this vast warehouse, and then I'm putting like a little box there that I can just forget about because there are plenty of other things there, and that usually
Nice.
works for me. So I'll usually basically forget about it then.
Thank you.
So
Wow, those are
yeah,
a lot of amazing techniques. And someone was asking if we can write this down. Maybe then we can email each other
yeah,
with
I'll,
the techniques, and we can share them through LinkedIn. I think it's a great idea to have all of these
I'll
written
give you a
down,
link
and
to
also
the
with
anxiety
references.
thing.
Yes. And Kelsey, what about your most successful strategy so far?
Well, I mean, coming back to the discussion about boundaries, I have found that that is just such a great proactive way to sort of protect my mental health. And like I said, just being really upfront. So I'm upfront with my own clients about it. I put my hours in my email signature and stuff like that. And yeah, even things like making sure a contract is signed and making sure the scope is written out clearly before I get into a project and stuff. So there's no scope creep or anything like that. All of these things that can add to a bit of overwhelm or and put financial pressure on you if there's scope creep, if you're doing more work than you had originally set out to do, all of these things. So I try and set good boundaries and learn from when I haven't set good boundaries so that I can set them better in the future. So that's kind of like a proactive step, I suppose. I think really obviously maybe exercise is a massive thing for me, movement in any way really, but I I'm at the gym. I'm one of those people at the gym at 5:30 in the morning. I don't want to be at the gym at 5:30 in the morning, but when I go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, I find that I have a lot less anxiety to deal with the day. I feel like um, I'm a lot more accepting. I'm a lot more patient. Uh, all of these kinds of things, and generally just like nicer. it's it's such a game changer. And I'm not one of those people that can do cardio. I've got tiny little legs, so I'm not a person that's running there. But I lift weights. So there's a especially as a small woman, there's a power in lifting things that are really really heavy. That
Wow, it's
really,
amazing.
really
Yes,
sets really sets your day up, and you're like, wow, like yes,
I can
I
do this.
exactly. So that's something that's really really helpful, I think. But literally any type of movement, if it's because obviously you have to take rest days when you're doing weightlifting and stuff. So on rest days, I make sure that I'm still doing some Pilates or walking the dog and just enjoying it and being in the moment while I'm outside and stuff. So that's really really important. Um, Another thing that I wanted to touch on is just generally kind of surrounding myself with people who lift me up, who I get energy from, who are positive and supportive and stuff like that. I have gotten far beyond the point of having a lot of time for people that are going to be negative to me or bring me down in any way. I'm very liberal with my block and delete button. So you know, because I need to protect myself for the people that are actually going to be enjoying being around me, and I'm able to lift them up equally, you know. So having that positive environment, especially with colleagues, like networking with people that are, you know, hanging out and know what you're going through and that kind of stuff has been such a game changer. Um, and going back a little bit as well, when I'm feeling that overwhelm, um, just kind of recognizing, like the advice that we were giving to Matthew, recognizing what's in my control, what can I change about this situation, and what is other people's problem, basically. You know, what can I control, what can I do to make this situation better, and if that's nothing, I kind of have to accept that. But as long as I've taken the time to, you know, it might be a terrible situation, it might not, you know, feel the nicest or something like that, but if I have done all I can to make this situation into a positive one and it still hasn't turned out that way, then that's okay, you know. um so sorry, I've just seen Keith's message in the in the comments. That's exactly it. Lift other people and be lifted by other people. That's exactly it. So yeah, my techniques are more just their general feelings. It's you know, I don't have very many science backed you know, techniques and stuff like that. That's not really how I operate. I tend to operate with, how am I feeling right now? You know, it's a really like body scan kind of thing. How am I feeling right now? What do I need? Let's go do it. And it seems to work most of the time.
Nice. So you do this body scan exercise when you're feeling overwhelmed or just to finish your day?
Usually, yeah, usually when I'm feeling overwhelmed, or you know, I try and build breaks into my day. Pomodoro method, someone mentioned, can be really helpful for that. I find that sometimes I need a little bit of a sense of of newness, so I'll try the Pomodoro method for like 2 weeks, and it worked great. And then after that, I'm
Hmm.
like, nope, this isn't working for me anymore. So I'm going to try a new technique, and I find that that actually works. Um, but yeah, it's just one of those things that I kind of have to recognize. I recognize my signals, you know, of getting burnt out and feeling anxiety and getting overwhelmed and stuff like that. One of them is actually getting more annoyed with my husband for, you know, he might forget to do the dishes or something like that, and I'm like, I can't believe him. How dare he? And I realize I only get like that when I'm super stressed. So it's probably not him, it's me. So, but you know, recognizing those sort of like those signals that your body and your brain are telling you when you're too overwhelmed, can be really really helpful.
I like this that you said that you try different techniques. I like this because I think it relates with the concept of dynamism that we talked at the beginning, that we're dynamic beings, especially as independent workers. We like this dynamism. So trying different techniques, I think it's key. Okay, like I tried this technique, it didn't work. It's okay. I can try another one. Or it did work today, but it might not work tomorrow, and that's okay. I can try another one. Like it's there's plenty of tools and exercises and resources out there that we can try. So for me it has worked like I'm not sure how to call it in English, like the ludifying things. Is it like the concept ludifying, like
Gamifying.
gamifying? Yes, that's a concept. Gamifying things. So I say like, okay, I want to drink more water. Okay, I will try this game. I will have 5 glasses on top of the table full of water and see if that works. Okay, did it work? Yes or no? Okay, next week I'm going to try this other game. I will do this other technique. So for me, that has been like really helpful, like changing techniques and trying to notice if they work or not. And if they don't, it's okay. I just try a different one. And okay, so moving to our last question to also finish, because we have already been talking for an hour. Which would be your three best tips for people to take with them after this panel conversation?
So my best tip is to read a lot of content about what other people are doing for their mental health, and be open to trying things even if some of them seem weird. Like the naming emotions one is definitely weird. It's you talking to yourself basically, but it definitely works really well. Also, it works really well for intensifying positive emotions as well. Um, so try to read as much. Like most of the things that I found work for me are things that I just read in blogs or articles or books or heard other people saying that they worked for them. And take everything with a grain of salt. Not everything is going to work for you, but also be open to trying things even if they seem weird.
Hmm.
And the other one that I think is really important is try to find some kind of exercise that you enjoy. So, not think that everyone has to do yoga or everyone has to lift weights or everyone has to run or whatever. Just try to find something that works for you. So what works for me is doing stuff from home that I can do while I listen to books or watch TV shows, because that makes it a nice pleasant part of my day because I can pair it with something that I really enjoy.
Lovely. Thanks. I just wrote it all down for people to have. And Kelsey, what about you? Which would be your three best tips?
I'll keep it very short and sweet. So breathe, move, and don't beat yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. You know, we're here to have fun.
We're here to have fun. I love that that affirmation. Yourself to I'm writing it down so everyone can see it on the screen. And okay, for me, my three best tips would be first of all, focus on what you like. You don't have to have a job you don't like. You don't have to work on projects you don't like. You don't have to work with people or clients or teammates you don't like. Like, it's okay if you don't like people. It's okay if you don't like some topics or some projects or some kind of content that you don't want to translate or work with. And like, recognizing what you do like, what you are good at, and focusing 100% on that, for me, was life changing. When I started working on projects I like about the topics I like, it was great, and it helps me enjoy my everyday job and life much more. So yeah, focus on what you like, what you do like, and then being aware of what gives us energy and drains us energy, regarding everything: food, sleep routine, people, clients, habits. Just like paying attention, do these give me energy, or does this drains me energy? So it's just like a constant question I ask myself, like, is this giving me energy, or is this taking energy away from me? And then I can recognize what I want more of in my life and what I want to stop paying attention to in my life. For me, this has been very helpful. And then the third best tip would be to do this life wheel exercise that I shared at the beginning. I try to do it like every month or whenever I feel like my life is not too balanced. I do the exercise and I can see, like, oh, okay, this is the area of my well being that needs a little bit of attention. So I can like work a little bit on it, and then it gets some sort of balance again. So that would be my third tip. And okay, this would be it. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. It has been an amazing chat. Everyone has been very insightful and sharing a lot. And I loved reading all of the comments. And thank you, girls. I guess we will be sharing more about this on our LinkedIn pages. I will be for sure like reading all of your recommendations, all of these links that we shared through the chat. I am not sure if we will be able to see them. Rodrigo is our tech support. Not sure if these comments will stay somewhere. Hey, but you're muted. Are you?
They will. They
Yeah.
will.
Yeah. Now you
Thank
can
you.
hear it.
Perfect. Okay. I leave you girls to say your goodbyes.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was really, really wonderful to be invited to talk about something that's so close to my heart and so close to the work that I do. So yeah, thank you so much, Mecca. Thank you to Bureauworks, and thank you to everybody in the chat. This has been really fun. I think we've all kind of it feels like a group of friends just chatting about mental health, which is really nice. So yeah, thank you, everyone.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I hope we can do it more often. I love it.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and thanks to everyone in the audience for sharing a lot of what they're going through and what works for them, because that's what we need to do. Keep the conversation open and normalize conversation about our mental health.
Yes, yes. Knowing what we are all going through and also knowing what we can do in certain situations or critical situations, that we're not alone, that the other people are going through the same, and that we have support, community support. So I think it's great to raise awareness of all of these topics. And I hope we keep the conversation going with everyone who has participated, with you girls. And yeah, that's it.